She enjoyed her garden, wildflowers, and walks to the corner store. My husband got an intuition one day to go down and photograph the cottage because it was still there. And a week later, they mowed it down and got rid of it. The owner decided it was too dilapidated. So we do have pictures in the book of the cottage, which is no longer there. But he didn't even know that was coming up. We just had the sense he had to go down and take some photos of it. At this period of her life, interested seekers of all ages and walks of life who heard of her by word of mouth or through her writings began to visit. Some who arrived became her learners and received instruction in the simple communion practice she had developed. It was totally free of the blood atonement theology. You have to believe Jesus died for your sins in order to be saved. She didn't believe that. So she lifted it out of that and saw it as a universal taking of food, ingesting food into the body that symbolizes spirit. She insisted that whatever group formed about her was ultimately an interior one, and that she did not wish to form a group or club or a group structure of any sort, certainly not one involving dues, membership, official status, or doctrine. And she felt so strongly about this that she would meet with people in twos or threes or just one-on-one. She didn't want to be a cult leader of any kind, and I was very relieved at that. You know, you have to think about that when you get really enchanted with someone who's has spiritual authority. Olga continued living alone at the cottage until 1978, when at the age of 87 she moved to Vancouver due to frail health after breaking her ankle. There she resided in my friend Patricia Hutchinson's basement suite until January 83, when, due to advancing age, she moved to a care center for the elderly in Vancouver. Olga left her physical body, that's how she would have put it, in December of 1985 at the age of 94. Her son Robert died a few years later. She is survived by her two grandchildren, Jim Park, with whom I'm in contact, we're good friends, and who totally approved of this book and came to the launch, and Valerie Tickell, her granddaughter, as well as Valerie's son Brian, Olga's great-grandson. So when I read about Olga before, I read my narrative about meeting her, but never the facts. So I just thought, a lot of people then come and say they want to know more. So I just thought you might find it interesting to hear about an early pioneer of Vancouver. So now I'm going to not set up the poems a lot, so I won't do so much talking, but just focus on the poems with maybe a word of context. Olga talked a lot about being sort of living between two dimensions. She was very integrated in the everyday. She wasn't crazy, but she was aware of other planes of reality, and she was able to negotiate this. So I have a chapter called Betwixt and Between to capture that sense of what the Jungians call the liminal state, or the threshold between different levels of consciousness. And this is called steady state ekstasis. Ekstasis is a Latin word for being lifted out of oneself into something larger. You follow spirit up a stair. Sorry, let me start again. You follow spirit up a ladder, or she follows you. Who's following who? You wonder. Then land on a rung of being, well past judgment, but not discernment of the big scape to which you belong, with your thumping animal heart and all its everyday amazements. Ants trek, whales' bewildering song, presto, as if this were enough. And so it is. As you finger the wood's worn grain, the imprints of bare feet, signs of others playing up and down the stair. For so it is, ladder, not ladder, but stair, spiraling. No thing above, no thing below. Only this intertwining rest into action, this mystery betwixt and between.